2 weeks ago today, we laid out a roadmap for reopening the California economy in a phased and thoughtful approach. We specifically put forth 6 indicators that will drive our decision-making. Politics will not drive our decision-making. Protests won't drive our decision-making. Political pressure will not drive our decision-making. The science, the data, public health will drive our decision-making. I want to update you on another indicator, and that's specific to businesses, schools, and child care facilities. But first, I want to remind all of you what those 6 indicators are. Mentioned testing as one of the principal indicators. We've made real progress in that space. Yesterday, we updated you as well on some of our efforts to train a workforce starting phase 1, 10,000 tracers throughout the state of California. We talked broadly about other indicators, one of the most important being how we protect the most vulnerable Californians. We've updated you on a consistent basis about our efforts in that place and the sincere concerns we have, demonstrable concerns we have about protecting our seniors in those facilities. We continue to focus on that above and beyond anything else as it relates to the data that comes in every morning because of the vulnerability of those populations. But real strategies, real plans in that place give us some more confidence that we're moving in the right direction. Accordingly, we're doing the same for our homeless population, another sensitive needs population. We are doing more as well on another indicator, and that's obviously securing the surge capacity within the hospital system and outside of the hospital system, these alternative care sites that we have brought up. We talked about another indicator, therapeutics. We are in advanced trials with our partners in the private sector, working with our UC medical centers and other medical centers, and there's real progress in terms of at least understanding, the capacity of understanding in this space. Today, again, we'll highlight the issues around business and schools and child care centers. But before I get to that briefly, I want to just mention that other indicator, that 6th indicator, and that is if we pull back and we modify our stay-at-home order too early and we start to see an increase in surge in cases, hospitalizations, and spread, then we have to have the ability to toggle back. We have to have the ability to adjust. We have to have the ability to fix it. And so that's a foundational indicator, number 6, in terms of our capacity to deliver on the promise, what we're promoting today in this roadmap for reopening. Let me, as now I introduce this 5th indicator, again, none are prioritized, but it happens to be the 5th indicator around businesses and around issues of our schools and child care centers. I want to make this clear. We believe we are weeks, not months away from making meaningful modifications to that indicator and in this space. Weeks, not months. Let's talk with business around manufacturing of non-essential materials, logistics for non-essential movement, areas around retail, i.e. curbside retail for non-essential items, the issues that have been broadly defined around the need to address our kids in schools. We clearly have shut down, people well aware of this. The schools are shut down for the remainder of the school year. Learning continues at home, distance learning and the like, but we recognize there's been a learning loss because of this disruption. We're concerned about that learning loss even into the summer. And so we are considering the prospect of an even earlier school year into the fall, as early as late July, early August. And so we're beginning to socialize that. We have made no decisions definitively in that space, but I just want folks to know the concern around learning loss and the concern about waiting till later in the year into the fall for the new school year. But I want to caution everybody, if we pull back too quickly and we walk away from our incredible commitment to not only bend this curve, but to stop the spread and suppress the spread of this virus, it could start a second wave that could be even more damaging than the first and undo all of the good work and progress that you've made. And that can happen like this. Virus has not gone away. Its virulence is still as acute. Its ability to be transmitted still is dominant. And so we, by no stretch, are out of the woods. There's durability to this virus, and there may be, we'll see, seasonality. And so we could be lulled into this quiet sense of confidence, change our behavior, put ourselves at risk, and put this broader agenda of reopening with modification at risk. So again, I caution everybody, as I will be doing, I assure you, on a daily basis, of the importance of our individual behavior, not just governmental behavior, individual behavior, and to the extent business is making decisions and modifications of our business leaders, men and women on the front lines, entrepreneurs, not just organized business advocates, of the importance and power of their individual decision making in this space as well. We need to protect not just the business community, but customers of those businesses. It's one thing to open a business, but there's no demand. It's a false promise. And as someone who's had the privilege of starting many, many businesses, I recognize that I'm not a job creator. It's our consumers. It's the people spending the money that create the opportunity for growth and job creation. And so I deeply want to emphasize the importance of protecting customers and, of course, one of the business's foundational resources, most fundamental, and that's workers. At the same time, we're protecting businesses as entities in the abstract. But again, I deeply sensitive to the needs for the business community to at least get some clarity, and we're trying to provide that over the next few weeks so they can start to plan and look at their own supply chains, look at their own ability to change the physical environmental conditions in their businesses, and look at the guidelines that we'll be advancing very specifically and prescriptively, sector by sector, for guidance on what we can do and what we can't do at this stage. We are not going back to the way things were until we get the kind of immunity that all of us look forward to, or vaccine that we look forward to. So we have looked at this indicator, and we looked at it through the prism of 4 phases. Phase 1 we're currently in, which is planning, workflow, focusing again on supply chains, physical and environmental considerations, the planning to do what we need to do on PPE, the planning we need to do to make sure the conditions are set so that we can move forward with modifications of the stay-at-home for businesses as one example. As we move into phase 2, where businesses can begin to reopen, we need to make sure that that guidance is abided by and it is organized in a very deliberative way. At the same time, though, we want to drive localism. I've often said, forgive me for repeating myself again on this, and that is localism is determinative. In this respect, I recognize the regionality in this state, the variance in different parts of the state, but I also recognize in that respect, local health departments have points of view that must be considered as well. And there's a 3rd and 4th phase, just 4 phases. The 3rd phase is personal care. It's the areas around, well, a lot of discussion around gyms and spas and nail salons and people wanting to get haircuts, all of us. Those would fall into the 3rd phase category. Of course, ultimately, the 4th phase, which are these highest risk activities, not the higher risk activities in stage 3, the highest risk activities. That's the larger public venues, the conventions, the concerts, the larger entertainment venues with crowds that would be in that category. I don't want to get ahead of myself. She'll walk you through those 4 phases. Phase 2 is really the phase that is upon us, we believe, in the next few weeks.